So for today's lesson, we're going to emphasize stability in a range of different yoga poses. And for that, we need a few props as usual. There's a chair, you can see behind me a block, a yoga strap, and I've got a bolster that I'm sitting on at the moment, so you might need that for seated breathing, which we're about to do. And I have it's not even a breathing exercise, it's kind of like joy in breathing. And it comes from Thich Nhat Hanh, the lovely Vietnamese monk who sadly passed away, I believe, last year. And think about this breathing exercise as just taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out when I say the word breathe. So we're going to begin now. Breathe and understand that you are alive. Breathe and understand that everything supports you. Breathe and understand that you are the world. Breathe in compassion and breathe out joy to share. Breathe and be one with the air that you breathe. Breathe and be one with our flowing river. Breathe and be one with the land you stand on. Breathe and you will see the impermanence of life. Breathe for your joy in being stable and serene. Breathe to relieve your pain. Breathe to renew all the cells of your blood. Breathe to renew your presence and be present. Breathe and live in the here and now. Breathe and everything you touch will be new and real. So, let's move to our mats and take a lying down position. And get comfortable lying on your back, your legs bent, and your feet on the floor. And when we've got that reclining position, nuzzle your sacrum and your hips into the floor. Just do a little bit of wriggling in there so that you feel steady, supported, and relaxed in your body. Keep your yoga strap right next to you, and we'll use it in a moment. But we'll start in the familiar way, which is bending the legs in, knees, thighs towards your chest, and hold at the front of your knees. And then we'll do this with a few in and out movements, exhaling thighs towards your ribs, inhaling the legs move away from you. And it's as simple as that, but obviously with the breath and with great awareness. Feel that squeeze as the thighs come near to the lower abdomen, and then a complete release as you straighten your arms and move the legs away. And then from there, and in consideration of the sequence that we'll do today, slip your hands around the backs of your thighs, just the backs of your knees area, and extend your legs up towards the ceiling. And then let's continue drawing in the bent knee position, thighs towards your chest, and inhaling legs up towards the ceiling. We started with some breathing exercises and some lovely inspiring words. So now think about the inhalation and the exhalation, extending it just a little bit more so you can really feel the sensations of breathing. Deep breath in and deep breath out. And then after this knee bend, bring your feet back to the floor and your feet just a little bit apart, your knees apart slightly. Draw your shoulders down and feel where your back is supported on the floor, that the shoulder blades form a nice flattish square with the floor. And then take up that yoga strap and bend just your right knee in towards you and slip the belt around the ball of your right foot. So closer to your toes than the arch of the foot, and then extending the leg up towards the ceiling. Take a light grasp of the belt, and then let's see what it's like to alternately bend and straighten that leg again. So this time, as we've lassoed the belt onto your foot, you're pushing up against the resistance of the belt. That's going to help you strengthen your leg muscles. So knee comes towards your chest and then pushing up against the resistance of the belt. When your leg is straight again, and if you need some time to warm up your hamstrings for that, make sure that you're working within your limits, and the knee and the thigh bone is directly above your hip. And then let's do a rolling movement with your ankle. So I've been enjoying these movements of turning your foot in, turning your foot out, for the happiness of my ankles. So I think in anatomy we call this inverting and everting. And because we can, and it's also a nice movement, we can work with extending your toes away from your knee, drawing your toes towards your knee, and working through that potential movement. Flexion in both directions, dorsiflexion and plantarflexion. Good. And then let's switch legs. So pop the belt off your right foot back on the floor. Stay there for a moment. We're not rushing. We're just enjoying the sensations and kind of sealing in what we've done on that leg. And then bend your left knee towards your chest. Pop the belt onto your left foot and working towards extending that leg and bending and straightening. A little knee bend, and then straight as you can. So this floor work that we do, and we're doing at the moment, is preparing us for some standing work in balancing and in standing poses. So we're not rushing, we're taking our time and getting acquainted with what our body can do right now. All right, and then from there, with the leg straight, let's do the ankle and foot rotation. And as I do this rolling movement in and out with my foot and my ankle, I'm incorporating my toes as well, might as well. And then let's bring those movements to a close and adopt toes point up towards the ceiling, toes towards the knee, and back and forth. I've been doing a lot of walking, and sadly not in the bush, but in the esplanade at the beach, and I can feel the calf muscles, the back of my leg as I do this. One side more than the other, actually. All right. And then we're going to release that foot to the floor and both legs bent. And then just feel what's been working and what's a little slow to wake up in that left leg. And let's go back to the right leg. So keeping a light hold on the belt again. Pass the belt over into your right hand. Only the right hand holds the belt. And then your left leg still bent. Let your left knee drop out to the left side. And we're going to take the right leg to the right in kind of a splits action. So opening up through both groins. And then if you would, here, have a look, maybe lift your head a little bit. I'm using my left hand behind my head to do that. And make sure the knees are in a line and as nearly as you can at the same height. So you're having made that adjustment and then extending right leg into the belt. Let's just trial a knee bend and a straighten. Right leg knee bends a little bit and straightens into the strap. Good. And once again, a light grip onto the belt means that you're doing the work with the leg and the hips as well, rather than adding tension to your hand and your arm. And then let's see what happens transferring the belt into your left hand and doing the crossover. And let's track the right leg over to the left side. My right thigh is in front of my left thigh. And if you haven't done it, you might rotate your neck as well. So you're looking away from that rotation of your right leg to the left. Beautiful. Let's come all the way back into center and slipping the belt off. And 2 feet on the floor again. Take pause, consolidate, and then left leg. Let's take up the belt onto your left foot, holding the strap with the light grip just into your left hand. Then your right leg, your right foot is on the floor. Let your right knee drop right, your left leg go left. So we're not running an Olympic competition of extending the leg as much as possible in a rolling action. Keep your pelvis level and the weight on the back of the hips, equally the back of the buttocks. And then you might check and see that the knees are pretty squarely in a line at the same height, and then alternately bending and straightening that left leg. So it feels like a pleasurable movement. You might be extending yourself a little bit more here by tightening the left quadricep, that left front thigh muscle when you extend the leg, and then it releases when you bend the leg. Good. Let's take the leg over on the diagonal to the right side, taking up the belt into my right hand. I don't know if I said that on the other side. I hope I did. And then the left thigh in front of the right thigh a little bit to the left side, and then turning away from the raised leg, rotating your neck and your head. Beautiful. And then back to center And we've done good work there. And 2 feet on the floor. And just as part of our floor warm-up, let's do a little rotation for your spine. So bring your legs and your feet all the way together, your arms at a distance from the side of your body, and then just simply let your legs drop to the right, look to the left. Knees back up, knees to the left, look to the right. And as much or as little as you like, let's do that side to side for several rounds. At the moment where I feel this, and check it out for yourself, is more of a rotation through the hips and the lower back. Keep the opposite side from where the legs are moving grounded. That's right through your upper back and your shoulders. And then the next time that you bring your knees up and planning to go to the right once more, lift one foot off the floor, second foot off the floor. Keep your knees and your feet together as much as possible with a little squeeze, and then knees to the right. So we're taking that rotation up the spine and closer to the mid-back. Moving as we've been doing with the breath. All right, and then the next time that you go to the left, keep going to the left until you can come up into a kneeling position, kneeling on all fours. So let's make a really nice stable beginning here. Have a look at your hands. In this kneeling position, the fingers are open and spread, and the thumbs as well, but not tense. Then allow your back to be in neutral position so that if you looked at yourself from the side, the back could be relatively straight. Knees underneath your hips, and then tuck your toes under. And we're anticipating coming up into downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. But before we even move there, let's get some support. So draw the navel up towards the spine. Draw the shoulder blades up to the surface of the skin so your upper back is rounded. And then you're ready for a push off and lifting the knees. And knees come up and hips come up, and let your head drop down. So let your neck be completely relaxed, no tension there, or as little as possible. Good. Come all the way back down to the ground, kneeling. Stretch your toes away from you so the front of the ankle is stretched. And then let's draw all the way back into child's pose, or technically Virasana with the arms extended forward. I just naturally want to take a couple of deep breaths and feel that breath right into the abdominal area, into the lower part of the torso. And inhaling, drawing yourself forward again. Starting with neutral spine, tuck your toes under. And then make your preparations, navel up, shoulder blades up, push off, and lift up. This time we're going to stay for several breaths. Separate your feet as wide as the mat. I can see my little toes on the edge of the mat and my heels elevated. So keep your heels up. Give yourself a good toe stretch. Bum up, head down. Beautiful. It's a good thing we warmed up the hamstrings, and then come back down to ground. Feel grounded when your knees touch down. Straighten your toes back behind you and draw buttocks to the heels. We're going to keep the arms extended forward. Keep your elbows up, but draw your shoulders neatly back towards your hips. Tuck your chin into the jugular notch and rolling forward again. We'll do a few of these movements into downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Tuck under, lift up, push up. Good. And now my feet are just hip width apart. However, I'll still come up on a heel rise and my weight's balanced on the inside of my feet a little bit more, the base of my big toe. Buttocks are high. By all means, if you need to for your own body, assessing your own body, keep your knees bent to whatever extent you need, but lift those buttock bones, lift your tail high. Beautiful. And then coming down and happily rolling back into child's pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. All right, and then the very last of these dog poses, moving from child's pose, downward facing dog pose. And perhaps at this point we're going to start to lower the heels nearer to the mat. And from here, keep your shoulders moving back from your neck. And in lowering the heels as much as possible, look at the front of your ankles for a little detail. So I can see there's a crease at the front of my ankles. If possible, and you want to get a little bit more lower leg stretch, move the shin bone just above the front ankles back towards the heels. Good. And you've done good work here. Let's walk the hands in towards the feet. Step, step, step. Keep your knees well bent as you come up with a long inhalation and all the way up to standing. I didn't realize that we've been upside down for a while, so just make sure that you're grounded again once you come up. And then let's do a little more work on the legs through your pose Uttita Hasta Padangustasana. And if you don't understand this Sanskrit, we could just say it's more leg stretches, but it also adds the element of balance to what you're doing. So take up your chair and have the chair, back of the chair facing towards the wall. I put a blanket on the top part of the chair because when I do my leg stretches, I'm going for the maximum height. And that's my heel on the top of the chair. Now, if that's a bridge too far for you, then you could take up your nice round cushion, your bolster, and have that on the seat of the chair, and then have the leg at a lower height. So that's up to you, is make any adjustments there that you can, but we're aiming for two things. One is to balance on the opposite leg and to be able to find a calm state where you're doing the raised leg stretch. So once you get there, then pause. I've got a wall next to me. You might have an extra chair there if you need it for balance. And we can keep balance a little bit better, you might find, if you have a belt onto your the working leg, your raised leg, and hold on to the belt onto the foot like you did when you were working on the floor. So steady in your balance, that one-legged balance, and then the standing leg, keep a little softness at the back of the knee, but mobilize the quadricep and draw the standing leg front thigh muscle up towards the hip. Good, so we've been there for a little while. Let's, in a controlled way, lower the right leg and bring the left leg up. So facing exactly forward towards the chair, and that includes your standing leg foot, exactly facing this chair, and bring your left leg up. Steady balance on your right leg now, and if it's helpful for you, then catch the left foot and hold on to the belt and find your balance. So the right leg is a little bit bent. The left leg, you're working towards straightening it. All right, and then release there. And as you lower your left leg, we're going to turn side on to the chair. So your right side is facing the chair, your right hip is facing the chair and the wall. I am going to move to the higher position for my leg, but you don't have to do that necessarily. You just stay where your level of comfort is. So balance on your right leg now, bring your balance on your left leg now, bring your right leg up. At a right angle this time, or as nearly to that as you can manage. And once again, if it's helpful for you, then use your belt onto your foot, or just rest your right hand onto your right leg. If you're holding the belt, right hand holds the belt. And then, as much as you can, your good yoga posture, lift your breastplate. The standing leg a little bent, but the standing leg thigh muscle very active. Good. Let's add one more element here before we finish and raise up your left arm, extend up towards the ceiling, and maybe a little lean out towards the chair and the wall. And inhale and come all the way up. And release that leg in a dignified way back to the floor. And second side. All right, I'm going to have my back to you now, but nevertheless, still working in the same fashion. And now your right leg is your balancing leg and left leg up. Good. Take a little while to get your balance again, settle in there. Standing leg a little crooked, and then if you like, use your belt or rest your left hand onto your left leg. And drawing up to your full height once more, and then extending the right arm up. And then I find this a really lovely lateral body stretch, leaning out towards the wall. And moving the left hand a little further along the leg if you like. Good, and breathing. Good. Inhale your way up, and you're going to exhale and release that raised leg to the floor. Good. And let's take a position where you're facing the chair. Consolidate for a moment. You're on your own 2 feet. And in the last variation of the sequence of the leg stretches, or Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, we're going to bring the right leg up again. I'm aiming high, but you go at your own height. And right leg up. use your belt or just rest your left hand on your right leg. And you've already started a rotation to the right side. Bring your right hand onto your right hip and keep turning head, neck, shoulders to the right side. Bring that right elbow back a little bit, the right shoulder. If you feel really steady in your balance, you might open that right arm out in a big, graceful gesture to the right side. And once again, if you're steady there in your balance, you could look back at your raised hand. You soon find out whether you're well balanced there. And then bring your right hand back in, right hand, right hip, facing forward, and then lower that right leg and change legs. Stability, steady balance on your right leg. Bend your left knee and bring that left leg all the way up. It's very handy to have. I'm in kind of a corner of a room, so I've got the wall beside me as well in front of me, and that's helping me balance. So here we are. We're going to do that rotation, and right hand, left leg, or hold the belt on your right hand, left hip, and then gradually turning. And this is where you find that the breath becomes perhaps a little bit unsteady. And I'm noticing that as I'm trying to talk at the same time. And as you do your breathing, make that your priority. Even if you have to be at a lower level, it's more important that that breath is animating what you're doing, rather than considering the goal of turning. However, if you're steadying your balance, which I'm not at the moment, then you can extend that left arm behind you, opening out. I'm going to keep mine on my hip and turn from right to left. Good, facing center again and lowering that leg and back to 2 feet on the ground. So we've worked well, we've tested our balance. Let's work a little bit more into our lower legs and our feet, giving them some caring attention. Take up your block for this. And place the block near to the wall and yourself near to the wall. I've got my right side facing the wall and the block just in front of me. I'm going to work with having the ball of my foot up onto the block. So I've stepped up here. And having done that, I've already begun a stretch at the back of my lower leg in particular. So from here, step the left foot more in a line with the right foot. Left foot stepping up. It's on the outside of the block. Good. And then the trick here really is to stand more upright. So as I was saying, this is a really great stretch for the back lower leg from the knee to the heel. And if you wish, take one further step forward, so left foot a little bit perhaps in front of the right foot. Then find your upright posture again. And let's change legs. Well, I was feeling that as a strong stretch. I think a necessary stretch. And then bringing your left foot up onto the block and bringing into play your upright posture, relax shoulders, upright but not uptight, and then one step in nearer to the block. Can you sense and feel that one leg is quite a bit tighter than the other? That's my first reaction here. This calf muscle is very tight. And then if you wish, taking one further step forward, I'm at my limit, so I'm going to respect that limit for this stretch, but just bring myself into good posture again. All right, very good. And then releasing from the block, we're going to take downward facing dog pose again. And from a kneeling position, I'm going to use my wall space here and have my heels right up to the skirting board, right above the skirting board. When I raise up into dog pose. So lifting knees and my heels right up at the height of the skirting board. I shortened my dog pose distance to be able to get into the wall, but you might find once you've done that you can stretch out a little farther, moving my hands out a little bit farther. And then look back at your heels. And you're in the opposite stretch than you did when you were on the block. So from here, once again, looking at the front of your ankles, move from the front ankles into the heels and lift your tailbone a little bit higher towards the ceiling. If this is too strong a movement for your hamstrings or for your knees at this time, then keep a little crook through the knee bend and stretch back as much as you can. Buttocks move back, but they also move up through the buttock bones. Good. And then take your kneeling position. And as you bring your knees down, come into Adho Mukha Virasana or Child's Pose and rest. I'm going to bring my elbows down, just give my wrists a rest and rest my head too. And let's go one more round like that for downward facing dog pose. In your own time, draw the navel up, draw the upper back up, and come into the wall support again. Only this time, if you can, instead of having your heels elevated, bring them down a notch. And I'm aiming to bring my heels all the way to the floor because I can. Stretch your shoulders, stretch your arms. And if you have these long Achilles tendons like I do and relatively stretchy in the calf muscles, you could lift your toes a little bit, roll into the inside of your feet, press your heels into the wall. Kind of the wall is your teacher there, so you can bring equal pressure, right heel, left heel. And then take the rest, and knees down, and elbows down, and folding your hands and head down. Feel the body neatly folding back towards your heels. Even if you don't reach your heels, that's fine. Relax your shoulders to whatever extent you can. And breathe. Breathing in and coming up. And coming up to standing. Once you're standing, then take a spot facing the wall again. Just going to move a few props out of the way. And in your stance, take your hands onto the wall for support. Step up your right foot to the wall. And I'm going to lift my toes up onto the skirting board. And step right foot forward and the toes onto the skirting board and left foot back. So I've got a distance about maybe not quite a meter, around a meter's distance between the legs. With my hands on the wall, then I can balance and adjust through my hips so the hips square to the wall and are level. Then, as in Warrior One pose, bend your right leg and your knee is moving towards the wall and stops at the point where your knee, your patella, is directly above your front ankle. And then just to see what the condition of the thigh muscle is like here, then waggle your knee a little bit. So I've got my right hand on my right leg and just giving it a bit of a shake out. Then find the place where there's no shake of the quadricep and the knee is directly above the ankle and you're holding firm and steady in that centered position. Bring the left hip forward slightly and keep the chest up. Then if you find you don't need your hands supporting you on the wall, bring your arms into goalpost position, so the elbows out to the side and slightly drawn back. Stay with support as you need it and work into the back leg and straightening behind your knee. Good, and then let's change sides and stepping right foot back, left foot forward. Good, I've got my toes kind of elevated. They're on the top of the skirting board and my heels relatively close to the wall. Then begin to take your bent leg position. And you don't need your hand necessarily to waggle your leg. You could just bring it back and forth and then find the steady position. My left knee is pointing towards the little toe side of the foot. And then square the hips. And when you feel steady and straighten your balance, bring your hands, your arms into goalpost. If you don't find that steadiness, then keep using the wall. And you feel like you can stabilize the legs a little bit better that way. And then both hands back onto the wall. Push away from the wall, take your foot back, both feet together. Beautiful. And moving back onto your mat, away from the wall. In Tadasana. Let's put all that together for some classic standing poses and step right foot forward, left foot back. And still aiming for that approximately meter distance between the legs, bring your hands onto your hips. Take your knee bend and getting a sense of that stability through the the front leg. Knee points towards middle foot or towards the little toe. Bring that left hip around. And then let's complete the Warrior One pose and bringing the arms out to the side and all the way up. Your shoulders are down. Good. And then steady, we've done all that leg work and feel into the back leg now. And steady balance. Tilt your chin up and look up and reach up through the center chest. Good. And then releasing hands to hips, straight front leg, one step forward, and one step back. Good. And always when we're in asymmetrical poses like this, most important thing is to find your balance, but keep the breath going. So feel the breath supporting you, breath in and out, and exhaling, bending the left leg. Good. So never sacrificing the breath just to maintain a shape of a pose. And then as you're ready, and if you're ready, feel strong in the front leg and the arms come up, either parallel or hands together. And then tilting your chin up, lift from the base of your skull, look up, and exhale, arms come down, and straight front leg, and stepping up, and stepping left leg back. So you've had opportunities to work on balance through the leg raises, the leg stretches, especially on the chair. So find your balance here. Feel the hips compact, drawing the hips into the center line of your body. Let's go bent leg again. And at the same time as you bend your front leg, raise your arms up. Inhale, look up. We're going to move into Parsvattanasana and straightening the front leg and a slight forward bend and bringing the hands down to support you on your front leg. Take another breath or two there. By now you will have needed to do that. And then as you come up, you're going to bend that front knee over your front ankle. Inhale, arms up. And completing the cycle and hands to your hips. And left foot steps forward, right foot back. Good. And from here, and working through the cycle, inhale, left leg bends, arms come up. Exhale, forward bending from the hip fold. Take an extra breath there to stabilize. Inhale, coming out of that to warrior one again. And exhale, arms down, hands to hips, right foot forward. Let's go that cycle again, just with one breath per movement. Inhale, arms up, front leg bends. Exhale, diving forward, but that front leg is strong. That front foot is strong. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, arms down. And last side, left foot forward, right foot back. Good, not moving so quickly that you're out of your own breath rhythm. So take your time. And incorporating forward fold. And then back to warrior. And exhale, releasing, step up. Good. So some of what we've done is preparation for a squatting position. So you could do this with the help of a chair if you feel like you need to. In which case, have the high part of the chair, the back of the chair facing you. And if you're using the chair, then resting your hands onto the top of the chair, stepping back so your arms are relatively straight, and then coming into a very gentle squat. We're going to take care of the knees by using a block between the knees and just above the thighs. So I've got my block on medium range, and then taking a slight bend at the knees and sending the buttocks back. So I'm in what I would call a mini squat and supported by the front thigh muscles. And as they engage and hold firmly to the bones, I can move my buttocks back a little bit, my knees back a little bit. And a light pressure onto the block. So about 20% of your muscle strength. And then coming back up. So we all have a different relationship with our knees, or a different strength or weakness in the knees. So I'm going to do this without the help of the chair this time. And come into a partial squat. Still a good idea to use the block. And then as I come into a deeper squat and lower down, I'm going to bring my hands together in prayer position. So stay with the chair if you need to. And then coming all the way up again. We'll have one more round with that. And once more. And just testing the water. If you're not so strong in your knees at the moment, at this time, then stay with using the chair and stay with a mini squat. And then let's come releasing out of the pose, no block, and all the way up to Tadasana, standing. So the work that we did earlier on ankles and foot movements, if you want to work on this pose on your own, and you're not ready to bring the heels all the way to the floor, you can take up a folded yoga blanket. I've got it ribboned back onto itself, and work into the pose with the heels supported onto the blanket. And in the last stage, without the block, the knees part and the elbows between the knees. And it's quite kind to your ankle and your Achilles stretch to do the pose with support like a blanket, and then coming all the way up. All right, we've done good work with those movements. Let's keep the chair for some variations in bridge pose using the chair. So wedge the chair against the wall so it doesn't slip. And then take a lying down position in front of the chair with your legs supported onto the seat of the chair. Now at this juncture, it would be quite nice just to be supported as you are, the legs resting, the thigh bones relaxed, the muscles relaxed on the bones. But we're going to do a little bit more work. Before we do that, see if you can move forward towards the chair, close enough to grasp the front legs of the chair. And then pull your shoulders under and pull your shoulder blades down towards your waist. So that's an exaggerated movement, but it's allowed you to release your shoulders and create space beside the neck. However, we're not going to stay there. Just nudge back a little bit further away from the wall. Don't lose that nice self-adjustment that you made with your shoulders. So now you're a few inches back from where you started from the chair. Then bend your knees towards your chest. Slide your heels forward, and if you can here, hook the arches of your feet onto the seat of the chair. So your feet as close to you as you can, and then you can use the pressure through your feet into the seat of the chair to begin to lift your buttocks up. And come up a little or more as you wish. And then straight away lower back down. And using the power of your feet into the chair, that thrust to help you lift up your buttocks away from the floor into a really gentle arch. And then back down. So how about use this as a way to discover what movement the pelvis, the sacrum, the lower back, and the middle back can make in this movement that feels good for your spine, and especially for articulating the spine, moving not in such big segments of your back, but through the individual vertebrae. And if you like, and the next time that you stay up, have a look at your legs and especially at the knees, and keep them parallel. And as though you had the block there, tracking the knees straight. And then finally lifting up just to your own best height at the moment. And if you want to stay a little longer, you may have raised your hips high enough so that you can reach and hold at the back of your upper buttocks near to your waist, or to your waist yourself, stepping your elbows in. Be very careful of your neck and your, especially front of your neck, where you can put pressure there. So keep your chin tilted up a little bit, and then very gradually release your hands if you were supporting, and roll all the way back, right down to your tailbone, moving away from you, and then take support of your legs onto your chair again. Bring your hands across your navel center and observe your own breath. So if there was any effort in what you were doing, and especially through the breath, then allow your breath to become regular and natural all over again. And a sense of settling. And it's very tempting to stay there, but we've got one or two more things to do. So let's bend the legs and roll away from the chair and come up. And we'll be doing an inversion for which you can use your bolster if you like to create a little bit more of an upside down elevated position. So if you are like legs up the wall, you'll have your bolster to support your hips. And for my part, I'm going to do this without that elevation and just having my hips into the wall. So if we're to take legs up the wall position, then it's already a hamstring stretch, isn't it? And I think almost always with this pose, it takes a little wriggling, a little jiggling around until you get more flush to the wall, as much as you can. And then if you didn't get all the way in, you just don't worry about that. Sometimes we have to cut our losses and just enjoy where you've gotten to. And then I want to work into Upavista Konasana. So because we're upside down, lying down, Supta Upavista Konasana. Bring your legs out wide and give over to a little attention here to having the heels at the same height as much as you can. So I'm going to lift my head with the help of my hands and have a look and see if I've approximated the same height, right foot, left foot, and the legs in that spread position and arms just at a little distance from the side of the body. And in the spirit of the good work that we've done with legs, stability, flexibility, flex your feet so your toes are drawn back towards your knees, and play around with rotating your legs so that now you're right on the center of your heels. So there's a light inward rotation of the legs in this position, and an outward direction of the stretch from your buttocks to your heel bones. And then go the other way and point your toes, plan to flex your feet, and stretch those ankles again at the front. Then release from effort and find out where you end up, probably somewhere in between. And explore what it's like to have an outward rotation of your legs. So rolling to the outer heels, towards the little toe side of your foot. And then release from that direction. And find the place where your legs feel supported and that you can relax the muscles to some extent. If you find that one side is dropping out and lower than the other side, you might bring that leg back up into an even position with the opposite leg. And then finally, see how you go, and we're going to take the pressure off the leg stretch by bending your knees a fraction and sliding the feet in to Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, where your feet together and your knees apart. Depending on your flexibility in this position, you might find that you've curled the base of your spine under and lifted your tailbone, in which case push back slightly away from the wall to relieve that rounding through your lower back. And in a moment, we're going to move into the yoga relaxation. So prepare by moving to the side first and then rolling away from the wall. Let's take care and set up for maximum comfort. Got a blanket folded as a pillow for my head. Give yourself some space, so if you still have those props around you, let's get them off to the side. And I'll take a bolster to support the backs of my knees. So these are options. And another option is to have a covering for your eyes, even a soft cloth like a t-shirt or an eye bag. And then having taken the time to position yourself, reclining over the props and taking support from where you lie, I'm going to begin by resting my hands over the navel center, one above, one below. And giving time to monitoring my breath, just in that location. And if I can stay with and conscientiously watching the breath as it comes and goes, I'll begin to draw into my natural rhythm. And even as I am still talking a bit, I can feel the breath quietening down. And then you might release your hands from there and out to the side again, or just leave them resting over the abdomen. Relax your eyes and the focus of your eyes and the movement of your eyes. And you might shift your attention from observing the breath around the navel to watching the breath, and especially on your exhalations, every exhalation in the heart center. Increasingly drawn in that sort of more introverted way now. Every out-breath drawing you nearer to your essential and quiet and calm self in the heart center. And along the way, you might take some deeper exhalations, as in sighs of letting go. And if your attention has moved to um, thoughts of planning or organizing or any of our things that our mind gets up to, then bring it back to just your breath, and especially in this last minute, so you don't miss out in any way. That attention and care for your breath is something that you can take into your day whenever you're feeling stressed or out of your body, and coming back to your breath. Stay a little bit longer if that is what you choose, or we'll make some small movements in anticipation of coming up if you'd like to do that. Take your own sweet time to roll to the side and gently help yourself up. And in that traditional way that we finish the yoga class, seated and comfortably upright, bring your hands into prayer position in front of the chest, where you can feel your breath again. And bringing into a focus, the point of our practice is for healing, for us, for coming to appreciate our essential self, and not just for ourselves, but for everyone. So sending our healing practice out into the world, we say namaste. Thank you.